סבבה.
It's okay?
כן. The authority, yes, they told us that in podcast there is this shablona.
Oh, there's a template.
And you must give a context.
Right. So we're going to try to, for our new listeners, anyone just joining in, who are we?
First of all, who said things should be in the template they should be?
There's like a reason for certain things being there, don't you think?
Second thing, do you want context? Go to listen to episode 1.
Episode 0, you mean?
Why do I need to give extra effort for someone who decided to listen just to this episode?
You catch more flies with honey, I think.
You catch more flies with honey? What does it mean?
Like, there's this idea that if you want to, gain followers and friends or whatever, or, maybe your enemy. What did Rachel from Ofakim do to fight off the terrorists? She offered them food and cookies. There is this idea that, maybe some of the people that are hedging when they're listening to us, maybe they haven't made up their mind about where they stand. They can just hear us as like these compassionate humans. Then maybe they'll give us a listen. I don't know.
Okay, so let's try.
So Who are we?
My name is Dor Komet. I'm podcast editor. I'm doing this podcast for the nation, for the Jewish in the diaspora, and genuinely for myself and for the opportunity to escape this place. I would love to go on a date with someone because of the podcast and to earn more than $1,000 in a month. And stop asking for my mother money because the podcast industry in Israel is like going down.
My name's Amy Sapan. I'm a native New Yorker. I'm first American born in a family of many different nationalities and languages. I am a proud Israeli American. I've been living in Tel Aviv for 13 years. I'm a dual barred attorney with extensive corporate legal experience. I'm also a translator working in the arts and culture. And in my art practice, I like to dye fibers and fabrics with locally foraged plants, which is probably not what you were expecting. I'm a big-hearted sort of misanthropic person. I'm a little bit of an introvert and an extrovert. I'm a Capricorn, Aquarius rising. I don't know. I'm in my late 30s. I don't have kids. I think about and feel about the world a lot since I was a kid. And I have a lot of experience that relates to media law, First Amendment law, human rights, and genocide prevention law. And more than anything, I'm also just a woman with endometriosis and feels like it took me until I was 37 to kind of step into my own power and no longer minimize myself or try to take up less space. And now I'm never going to stop talking, I guess, which incidentally, when I was in first grade and I broke my arm, they wrote on my cast chatterbox and question queen. And yeah, that's pretty accurate. I'm a chatterbox and I'm a question queen. And my name's Amy Sapan. And I'm really grateful to Dor for saying, hey, let's start recording on October 7th, the day that we met each other.
This is Monday, October 23rd, the 17th day of fighting. Jonathan here in the studio. And the update today, the most dramatic thing happening late night, 2 more prisoners released. Elderly women, one 80 years old, another of these ladies, 85 years old, grandmothers, their husbands apparently still held by Hamas, either just 2 of the many, many kidnapped children among them. We have a pledge by President Biden that all the kidnapped will return. At the same time, we have clear voices from America telling Israel not to go through with a ground invasion. Meanwhile, the IDF still surrounding Gaza, still bombing, still announcing Hamas fighters taken out. Tension in the north, but no real change in how this war is shaping out. We'll talk again tomorrow.
Maybe we'll just be different people every day that this goes on. Like one day I'll just be like, I'm an angry woman, you know, and I'm not going to take shit from no one anymore. Like that'll be tomorrow's intro.
Be who you are. This is a safe space. Be who you want to be. Okay, let's speak about the North threat.
Before we speak about them, I'd like us to acknowledge that there are still at least 210 kidnapped human beings in the Gaza Strip as of the time of this recording. And our heart goes out to them and their families and loved ones. And we are all with you and praying for you to come home in one piece.
Amen.
Amen. What's going on the north border?
You know, like crazy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like World War III.
Mm-hmm.
There is a rumor that our safe room is not enough for the North threat.
Yes.
So it means if something really happened in the North and they will throw missile on us, we should hide in like the basement.
Yeah, underground. And in Shapira, I don't think, in our neighborhood, I don't think we have a place. I mean, I was up late last night trying to think about scenarios, like if that threat manifests. I mean, those missiles are not the 10-kilo rockets being fired from the south without like targeting technologies. Like these are like, from what I understand, like 200 kilos. So like do the math on that. What is that? Like 20 times higher? 20 times higher. Yeah. 20 times more. And they can be targeted. Yes, and the damage that they do if they fall is much greater. And then it's like, what would I do? Like get on my bike and ride 15 minutes to get to Dizengoff Center and then go to like, you know, -1. And then I was thinking about it yesterday because I got that new bike and I really like them. And it was like, so if I do, like, let's say that I wouldn't make it in time for the first one, like I would be like dodging missiles. And then what would I do? Would I like take the extra 2 seconds and like lock my bike? Or like, what do you do? Do you like bring the bike inside the center with you and then just like lie down next to the bike? Because like the bike is also, it's not just like a nice to have, it's like the only thing that can like get me around and like ensure my safety, because obviously it's not going to be just like order a get taxi. So like I was running through all those scenarios last night, and then eventually like I fell asleep, which was amazing because like falling asleep right now is like it's kind of a rarity. And then about an hour into sleeping, my phone rings, my dad's on the phone, and he's like outraged about, you know, what's going on here and like media and all this different stuff. And I used to sleep with my phone on silent until 2 weeks ago. And now my phone's on ringer. Like it's open to like, you know, family and close friends if they need to reach me. And I was like, Daddy, I love you. I know I'm outraged too, but like I thought, because I thought, you know, what if he's calling to tell me like the missile? I was so freaked out, and I was like, Daddy, I love you so much, but like maybe let's keep like a new rule, like after 11 p.m., like only emergencies, like true emergencies, not like media's being fucking outrageous, like emergency, which is also an emergency and definitely something that I'm taking seriously. But, and he was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I was like, no, it's okay, Daddy, I love you. And that was like, you know, after midnight last night.
So what's going on? Yeah,
the street sweepers are still in effect, keeping the sanitation crews, shout out to them. They're still taking out the trash in wartime.
What's the opposite of shout out?
I guess if you call someone out on their behavior, like if someone does something fucked up and you're like, I want to call them out on this, you know? But a shout out is like, you know, in support or in praise of. So shout out to the sanitation.
No, the opposite of shout out. I hate the
Do you want to live
rush.
You hate the like noise pollution?
Yeah, it's
But wouldn't
terrible.
you hate the stench pollution? It's still 85 degrees here. Fahrenheit time, people. It's still 85 degrees here during the day. We cannot afford to not have the trash picked up. The stench would just be another level of, you know, in this whole thing. So. What if it does happen, Dor?
The missiles.
Yeah, it's like harrowing. Like I was up for 2 hours. Like, you know what I was binge eating this week? Of all the weird things you can binge eat, I was binge eating communion wafers.
Maybe it will be a really great time to like buy real estate in Tel Aviv.
Honestly, I know it's fucked up, but I can't avoid it. I'm thinking about like how everything impacts everything else because everything's like connected. So like I was talking to a small business owner that I translate for. He's like, we don't have work, so we're trying to like move with the website. And I said, yeah, that's a valid thing. Like everyone's been volunteering. Everyone's been contributing money as it was before this started. The recession hit us like the rest of the world. But even before the recession, this is one of the most expensive places in the world with like some of the lowest salaries considering how expensive it is. So even just making it like a year or two ago in Tel Aviv or in Israel is like hard enough. So I told him there's like no shame in like you continuing to fill your cup so that you and your family can like, you know, have food on the table. Like we're at the point now where people feel bad even about, you know, promoting their services. But at the same time, no one in the government is like helping us make it through this time. And we're like, most of us are freelancers and it's pretty, what are we going to do about it? I had an idea, like, what if we got together some of the small business owners here who are selling stuff online and people in the arts and culture, and we could just kind of maybe speak to, you know, I have a friend in mind, I'm not going to name his name, but I was like, maybe I'll get on the call with him tomorrow and see if we can just kind of make a little cooperative collective of some of these businesses to just kind of help each other out. Like it's unavoidable. Yesterday was the first day that I had to deal with like real life stuff, you know, like the door to my apartment is like stuck. So they had to come like fix that. The shower was completely clogged. Like the drainage wasn't working. Like pragmatic stuff. I had to get a new bike because mine was stolen 2 weeks ago. It's like, now is this time where we're beginning to understand that this could be our reality for like the next 6 months or the next year.
But maybe, you know, we need those missiles.
Oh my God, no, God forbid. God forbid. Like
no,
you know,
maybe we need to have a fresh start. Maybe
oh my God, no.
all need to collapse here.
Listen,
like in you know, the last scene of with the Edward Norton
Fight Club.
Yes, Pixies in the background. You know, suddenly Tel Aviv is not so expensive.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what I think happens.
Crazy shit happen. Everybody will leave. It will be fun. Just the two of us here in the street of Tel Aviv. Missile are like on the air, and we're doing our podcast. It's almost romantic, no?
It's weird that you brought up that movie because my hair used to be a lot more like Marla Singer's, and without my glasses on when I was younger, everyone always used to be like, oh my God, you look like Helena Bonham Carter. You look like Marla Singer. Like at law school, some of my friends used to call me HBC. So I feel this, I saw that movie like 17 times in high school. I read the book also. I used to read a lot of Chuck Palahniuk. And there is this theory that like circulates all the time amongst like people on like the further edge of the left. You know, it's like that Žižek, like everything needs to like fucking collapse and then we're going to rebuild. But then there's this other thing that happens when things get really extreme, is that people get extreme, is that the ideologies get more extreme, the hate gets more extreme, the feelings of disenfranchisement get more extreme. Those things happen. Like right now, the unintended consequences are so big. And I hope that this whole period in our lives is something that just like drills that home for anybody that still thinks you can just like kind of, it's like Jenga. Have you ever played Jenga?
No, the one with the cube that you take one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Jenga is like a great game. And I think it's a great example of that. Like you touch one thing and it could like topple like the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And over and over again, I feel like we're seeing this thing where people are like, ooh, even in the medical like world, you know, like, ooh, I'll treat that like little fuck in the plumbing. And then boom, it's like a Disney cartoon, you know, and like all the plumbing explodes because you just put like Band-Aids here and there. And I think that the same thing goes for this kind of death wish of an apocalypse as like a way of restarting. I get the desire to restart. There's a lot of stuff that's not working, but hold on a second. Not everything has been terrible that's been developed over the past like 50, 60 years. Not everything needs to be thrown out. I don't want to throw the baby and the bathwater out together as a way of like fixing like a wound. You know what I mean? Like, let's think about how we got here. But like, more importantly, let's think about where we're going. And I think that one of the big things that's been on my mind and my heart for a while, but really coming to the fore now is, what is this future that people are working towards? You can destroy and rant and fucking wah, and wish for that like restart button and wish for the whole thing to collapse. But what comes after that? What is that world? What is that future? Because that requires a creative impulse. That requires an imagination. That requires not only understanding where we are, but where are we going? Where do we want to even go? And I would love to know. I would love to know where people see this going, because we're not going anywhere, Jews. We're not going to let ourselves be fucking wiped off the face of the planet. And this is only driving home for anybody who's like, we're going to, justify the death of Jews and non-Jewish Israelis as a way of liberating another movement. Here's what it's doing on the ground. It's actually fueling Jewish paranoia about anti-Semitism. It's ostracizing communities. It's breaking down ties and collaborations and partnerships that have been growing and thriving for decades and centuries. It's putting up bigger walls. It's making sure that contributions will not be happening. I mean, I think it's one of the weirdest ironies that a bunch of people that are like dropping acid and like, out there, like, celebrating Jewish death, like, who the fuck do you think invented LSD? It was a Jewish guy named Albert Hoffman. Like, enough.
I always fantasize that one of my songs will be like in a movie, any movie, okay? And now you give this wonderful speech about end of the world, and maybe now there's like 100 people in the States that are listen to us and paying attention. And I said like, fuck it, like this podcast is still not provide myself. איך אומרים מפרנס אותי?
It's not like bringing home the bacon. Like, you're not getting any money to a Jew. The Jewish guy's not getting bacon from this.
So I'm gonna do like a commercial. I'm gonna put my song right now, and we do the sound of like end of the world with things blowing up.
Before we get there, though, can I just remind one thing about end of the world?
Yes.
Humanity, right? Like, how everyone lately has been like, before this started, freaking out that there's so much uncertainty in these dark times. And then I was sitting with some friends and I was like, guys, let's be real. You don't think there was uncertainty like a few hundred years ago? Like, you went to sleep, you barely had like a lock on your door. Someone could just like push open the front door of your house and like kill you with a club. Like, it was dark out. You didn't have electricity. Like, times were uncertain as fuck. Like, you could have been living somewhere and then suddenly a bunch of ships enter your like view and you have no idea who these people are, and like, oops, you're a Native American, like in America, like hundreds of years ago. I mean, uncertainty is not new. And guess what else isn't new? These like doomsday apocalypse theories. The Dead Sea Scrolls that were found in the Qumran caves not far from where we live, like an hour and a half away, 2 hours away. Those were written like 2,000 years ago by a sect of Jews living in caves that were like afraid of the end of the world. The Dead Sea Scrolls are like an apocalyptic text about the end of the world. So this impulse, this human impulse and fear and uncertainty and all of these different things we're experiencing right now, none of it is really new. The subjective experience of being a human, I remember when Corona started, the virus, the pandemic, whatever you want to call that thing that happened. I remember a news outlet in the States ran an article. It was basically like someone living in 1920 or 1918 London when the Spanish flu was going on. And it's like this guy who's a trader, whatever, like he worked, and he was a business dude, a banker or something. And he's talking about his day. And he's like, everything's so modern. I have spices from this country and I have clothing from that country. And I listen to music from this place. And he basically was experiencing a connected world that was becoming even more connected and was becoming increasingly convenient. And I read it and I was blown away, because even though the material form of those advancements is markedly different, like than what we have right now, like the mini computer sitting next to me, which is my smartphone, the experience, like from the inside, in terms of, ooh, I'm turned on, there's something new here, I have a new friend, this new friend is from a different like all that stuff isn't really new. And if there's a lot of fetishization that happens about these like glorious times that preceded us, and we need to go back to these like idyllic times, which is preposterous in my opinion. I don't want to go back to any time. It would be fun to be burning my bra at Woodstock in the 60s. That would be a really fun time. I'd love to go back for a second and Back to the Future's DeLorean and experience that. But I think releasing from that fantasy is critical for humanity to actually encounter the present and move into the future. And we need to, in my opinion, wake up and smell the reality of nothing is new. The dark forces, the creative forces, it's all here. It's always been here. The time now is to educate ourselves, to really think critically, to feel each other, to be kinder, to be more loving. If this really is the end of days, I don't want my last days to be just harrowing and nightmarish. I'm going to keep smiling at strangers on the street, and I'm going to keep hugging people, and I'm going to keep making weird jokes to break up tension, and I'm going to love harder, not less. And I'm not going to go into the great night dark and defeated and deprived of humanity. Because frankly, I don't think that, as unprecedented as all this is, the emotional maelstrom isn't new. It's not new at all. And that allows me to connect to humanity across time. And it allows me to connect to 90-year-olds that are living through this right now, and 2-year-olds that are living through this, and neighbors that come from different places, because we are a lot more similar than anyone else would have us think.
Wow. Give me 10% of your romantic perspective on the world, and I'm like, Janusz fucking Korczak. Man, if this is the end of the days, I still will be like, I don't know, hater to all the similar hipster from Tel Aviv that sit in the same cafe as me. And I will still be afraid of meet my ex-girlfriend in the street. Okay? I will be, if this is the end of the days, shame on me.
Why shame on you? And the whole point is, I want you to be free to be you. That's what all of us were fighting for all of time. That is what liberal values are, in my opinion. And I really hate this like ism stuff. Did you ever see Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
No.
You never saw Ferris Bueller's Day Off? I think we should watch it tonight. It's with
It's a movie or a series?
It's a movie. It's from the guy that did the Breakfast Club. I might not be right on that. I feel like I am, though. And it's a guy who plays hooky from school and goes on like an amazing adventure in Chicago with his girlfriend and best friend Cameron. It's a really, really important film. I think it is a John Hughes film, right? It has a killer soundtrack. And there's an opening scene where Ferris Bueller, the character, is like, it's a shower scene, and he's just like using the shower head as like a microphone. And he has this line like, I don't believe in isms. I just believe in me, And I think that's great. Like, fuck it, all these isms. But anyway, getting back to liberal stuff, I was this like First Amendment, freedom of expression scholar, like in law school. And I did my like undergrad thesis on graffiti in Buenos Aires, and like all about like freedom of expression, be all about it. Like, I really want people to be free. And then in recent years, I felt like all these people were like using freedom of expression to block it. Like, it became freedom from expression, like with the cancel culture bullshit. It was just like wait, what's going on? Why are people that are like supposedly that share my values on the left, they're like using all this stuff that we were fighting so hard to like keep enshrined and expand it outward and share that like expression out and make sure that, you know, you could have gay rights for marriage. All that stuff was coming out of like jurisprudential work that me and other people were like working on and like arguing for in classrooms. And then it became freedom from speech. And then yesterday I see an article that's like, I didn't even read it because I was like, my brain cannot handle the stupidity. It was like a headline from Time that pro-Palestinian college groups like or whatever are fighting for their continued right for protected like freedom of speech. And I was like, wait a second, let me get this right. So first we went through freedom of speech, then we went to freedom from speech, and now we're going to freedom of speech for hate speech. Like we're trying to advocate, like people are trying to advocate for the right to march through and say burn the Jews, gas the Jews, and like these harrowing mobs of mob violence that makes the mob violence scenes in the end of Beauty and the Beast look like child's play. I've always been terrified of mobs. Like the whole point of rule of law is that we're trying to like, you know, keep a sort of civilized age of reason society. And that's what is at stake right now, is that the age of reason, the age of enlightenment, these kind of liberal democratic values that underpin every aspect of our society and keep us from imploding so that you can be a hater and sit at the coffee shop and like think about texting that girl so that you have the freedom to do that. And I would like for you to keep being free to be you. That would be great for me. Do you, baby, go big. Just if you're swinging a fist, don't you dare come for my fucking nose, because then it's on. You know what I mean?
No, but this is a wonderful way to end this episode.
You know, after every ending, there's a beginning too, you know? The other side of ceiling is a roof.
Amen. Amen.
Credits?
Credits.
Okay, thank you to Shema, Jonathan Gall, Maya Schlesinger, Dora Comet, I'm Amy Sapan, and thank you to the Bassistiats for the music in the background. Thank you for listening. Stay safe and stay tuned.
ענקית נוזל הרחבה רוקד לצילי ההשלמה זה זמן להזדקף לשאוף את התקווה רוקד לצלילי ההשלמה השלמה, רוקד לצילי ההשלמה.
So how would I explain basistיות?
Oh, like female bass players.
Yes.
Look how many words you need in English for one word in Hebrew. Basistiot or female bass players. That's 3 words to one. It's a very efficient language, Hebrew, you know?
יש אותנו ברמות.
יש אותנו הפקות בעם ושוט. יש אותנו.
If this is not end of the days, and someone literally listened till now, I guess this is the end of the days, no?
No, I feel like
if
it's the
יש אותנו הפקות will be like something in the world, it's mean there is no world.
Listen, you know, the political party that I've always been fantasizing about, I think we're going to roll it out. Should we roll it out now?
Yes.
We'll say it here first. Yalla. It's going to be a home for everyone in this country that feels like they haven't had a home before in a political party. And at the Kalpi, at the ballot booth, we'll invite you to put in the ballot and it'll say Yud Aleph, like, yeah.